Hello everyone, thank you so much for joining me. Now today for my Happy Day series, I am going to be using an item that I've had in my stash for a while. It's a donut worry stamp set from Fawn. I thought it would be nice to take a little break from the Christmas cards and the fall cards. And so today we're going to make a yummy card. I was craving donuts so bad, oh my goodness. So I thought the next best thing would be to create a card. Maybe it'll get it out of my system. So I'm going to start off by stamping the donut 6 times using my Memento Tuxedo Black ink. Once I have that done, I'm going to color in these guys. I'm going to color them in with my alcohol markers. Now, Happy Day series is all about using items we have on hand and items that are in our stash. So they may not be the latest or the greatest, but I think this is one of my favorites, and so I thought I'd share it with you. Now, way back in June, I had actually created the same card for a design team project, but I didn't make a video on it, and I really wish that I had, so I thought it'd be great to do that today. I just colored in all my donuts, and then now we're going to add sprinkles. So I'm using my rich cocoa ink from Memento. Boy, that word is just so hard to say. But I'm going to stamp a few sprinkles here and there. It's a brown ink, so I'm adding brown chocolate sprinkles. And then I want to add some white sprinkles using my Hero Hue. It's a pigment ink. It's a unicorn. So it's real pretty white. So I just cut all of those out. I don't have the dies, so I use my circle dies and a hole punch for the centers. And then now we're going to frost those yummy little guys. Now I'm just going in with my Nouveau Crystal Drops. This is simply white. I added sprinkles to some and then swirls to another. And then I'm also going to go in with some chocolate fondue Nouveau Crystal Drops. It's real pretty brown with glitter in it. And for the last one, I'm going to be using this is White Blizzard glitter drops from Nouveau. Now I did pop everything up already with some foam tape, and I'm doing this now because I thought it would dry in time by the time I finished the card, which wasn't the case, but it set a little bit, so it prevented me from smearing them. Now we're going to work on our card panel. I have my craft mat here, and I'm going to be using my Distress Oxide ink. This is Vintage Photo. It's real pretty brown, and I added a piece of masking paper. This is Inkadinkadoo's masking paper, and I just cut out a rectangle, and I'm placing it at an angle on this panel, and I'm going to use my Vintage Photo and go all around the edges of this panel pretty heavily. I'm using some Bristol Smooth cardstock as this panel. I think Bristol Smooth paper works so great when you use your oxide inks. Huge difference in blending, I think, versus my regular cardstock. Now I'm going to add some water droplets. My spray bottle here is a fine mist, and I wanted some really big, heavy drops. So I'm spraying it in my hand, and then I'm shaking the droplets off on my panel there. And it creates bigger drops, and I like that effect. I'm going to peel off my masking paper, and then I have this vivid, bright white rectangle in the back. I'm going to use a stitched rectangle die and run that through my die cut machine. So that's going to be my back panel. Now this is the fun part. I'm going to go in with some more oxide ink. This is Worn Lipstick, and using the same Strathmore Bristol Smooth cardstock, I am going to go over this panel. I'm going to leave a little bit of it lighter in the center because that's where we're going to stamp our sentiment. But I think this pink just reminds me of a donut box or a pastry box. Love this color. I'm just going to add some water droplets. And I'm going to use my heat tool and dry that up a little bit. Now also in my stash I have some dies. Now these dies are from Fawn, and they're called lift flap dies. They're actually made for a gift card holder, but I thought I'd make a perfect top for a donut box because that top edge only scores, it doesn't cut, so you could lift it up I'm going to use that and then also a rectangle die to frame it. And I'm going to run them both through my die cut machine. And then this is going to be my donut box. At least the top part. Okay, now I need a back panel for this so that the rectangle die that I used, I'm going to cut out a piece of white cardstock. For my sentiment, I'm going to be using my Memento Tuxedo Black ink, and I'm going to stamp the sentiment that says "Do Not Worry." I'm going to do the same thing on a piece of masking paper, and then I am going to actually take my scissors and cut out the D, the O, and the N. I'm going to overlap a donut right over the sentiment, and I didn't want both of those to collide, so the masking paper will help with that. I'm going to remove the backing and just place that right directly over my sentiment there. And then I'm going to grab my donut. To stamp my donut, I'm going to be using the Rich Cocoa ink from Memento, and I'm going to just stamp it right over the donut sentiment. Lovely. Now I did go in with the sprinkles and just using the worn lipstick. I wanted a real subtle sprinkle. I wanted my sentiment to kind of look as if it was the brand of the donut company. So I wanted to keep it really subtle. So there we have it. Don't worry, it's so cute. Okay. We're going to flip that over. And here's where I took that die and created a back panel. I am going to add some foam tape. This actually foam tape came from I think a previous C&CT stamp kit, but it's so thin and it works perfect for thin areas. I'm just going to remove the backing and place that on my back panel so it's raised up just a little bit. And there we have it. That's my donut box. Now all donut boxes need tissue, so I have a piece of parchment paper here. If you have tissue paper, I think it would work just fine. I think wax paper, it would be hard to keep it stuck in there with the tape runner. But I just trimmed it down, and then I'm going to cut off the ends to make the ends point a little bit. And I want the tissue paper to be hanging outside of my donut box. I'm just going to use my tape runner to adhere it down. I looked everywhere for white tissue paper and all I had was printed ones. So I had tons of parchment paper, so this worked out really nice. I'm just squinching the edges a little bit to give it a little bit of a crinkled look. And then I'm removing the backing off my donuts and carefully placing them inside my donut box. Like I said, it didn't dry in time, so I'm being really careful. But there's my little donuts. I just love that, and they look so yummy. Okay, I stamped the sentiment that says "Be Happy" with some black ink, and I just fussy cut it out. So the sentiment says "Do not worry, be happy." Now I'm going to place my panel on my card base. For my card base, it's just a 4 1/4 by 5.5 inch white card base. I'm going to place that in the center. And then I'm going to add some tape behind there and place my donut box right in the center. Now to put this in an envelope, I think it will fit very easily because it's not that bulky. But since my donuts were still, the icing on them was still wet, I didn't want to smear it. So I'm just adding a dimensional adhesive dot here, and then that way when it is dry, I'll be able to close it and it'll stay closed. But that is my card for today. A nice break from the Christmas cards and from the Thanksgiving and fall cards. I hope this inspires you, gives you an idea, and I encourage you to use what's in your stash. Use those stamps that you love. I wish you a fantastic day. Let me know what you think by giving me a thumbs up or leaving me a comment, and we will see you again real soon. Bye-bye, guys.